Hey guys, this is Greg with Medical Muscle. We're going to talk about money, okay? How can you save money? How can you optimize your loan? And how can you reduce your debt burden? Because I'm going to tell you it's going to be huge. And I personally have done a pretty good job. I have probably less debt than most medical students, but I want to clarify that I have a different situation than a lot of medical students. But I'm just going to share what I did and how I was able to keep my loan down from the maximum. It's hard to do. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. Okay, so if you don't know, I was a trainer for 11 years. Okay, so during that time, I had a pretty good business, and I was able to save a lot of money before getting into medical school. I know not everybody has that opportunity, but that's just what I had, okay? I knew what I was getting into. I didn't have any family support. So I just knew that I would have to save up a lot, and I saved a lot. And at the same time, I was also investing. Okay, so I was doing a little bit of that too for like 4 years prior to getting into medical school. Real safe stocks, nothing flashy. So just before going into medical school, I sold all my stocks, and I had a bunch of cash from working, right? So that was my situation. I know not everybody has that, but if you do, man, try to do it. I mean, especially because I had 1 year off as a gap year. I just worked like crazy. I worked a lot. I made a lot of money, and I was able to save a lot of money. You can do it too if you put your mind to it, okay? I'm telling you. I didn't think I was able to do that. But eating, at home, doing a budget, knowing what I need to spend my money on, what the education is going to be the most important, and reducing that debt, that was my main goal. Okay, being honest. Okay, so here's some things that you can do. If you don't have that, I just want to get that out of the table. I want to get that off. If you don't have that, either situation, you need to do a budget. You have to, because these loans are different interest rates, and they'll grow at different speeds depending on when you take them out, right? If you take them out early, right, it's a small amount, but over time, that interest, you got to do the math. And I did extensive math on this. I talked to a financial advisor. Luckily, he was one of my clients, so I got it for free. But if you have someone that knows this kind of stuff, look at, do the math. It's pretty easy. You put it on a spreadsheet, and you can play with the numbers and just see how much of your own participation of money can help offset the loan. Okay, so and also, I did a budget of every single term, so I knew what the cost was going to be and how much debt I was going to be in. All right, with interest and fees and all the other stuff included. Okay, so get that straightened out. You need to know where your money is, how much you're going to have. All right, that's for sure. Okay, next. Okay, so you've done your budget. Okay, and you have your cash, whatever you have saved for school. Okay. You have a few different options, okay? You're gonna have to take out pretty much the full loan. I think most students are gonna have to do that. They're not gonna have a situation like me. But ways you can supplement that is scholarships. So I got 2 scholarships that were pretty substantial from SGU, and it wasn't very hard. You just have to apply. Just ask. And I got turned down on a lot of them too. They're like, no, you don't fully qualify for this. I'm like, shoot. But just ask. And, I wish I did this more, but if you guys are really smart, you can look and try to find other scholarships that can supplement medical students. It's probably not gonna be a lot of money. It's probably gonna be, a couple thousand, but that's, $2,000 is a nice little bump, right? That's like a month or 2 rent. So this is like a little hint. I didn't have this, but you got some rich family members, maybe they could help you out a little bit. I'm not joking. Seriously, if you have family that can help you with this, by all means, have them help you buy a question bank or, something, supplement something while you're in school. That would be super helpful. I unfortunately didn't have that, but if you have that, take full advantage of it. I actually have friends who have that advantage, and I just say, hey, they're freaking lucky and good for them. Take full advantage of that. You got to. Okay, so something interesting. You can have a little side hustle. okay, to make a little bit extra money. During the first year, terms 1, 2, and 3, we were still online because the pandemic was still going on. So I was still training clients online. I was doing about 5 clients a week. If you have any business that can work remotely, then you can still maintain a few hours. I do not suggest doing a full-time job. That would be stupid because this is so hard, and it is its own full-time job. And this is more important than the money that you're gonna make. But I'm saying that you can have like a little side gig. If it's fully online, that's ideal, right? At the campus, okay, at SGU, you can make a little bit of money doing tutoring. I did a little bit of that. It's very low. They pay you in EC. They pay you the EC rate. So it's going to be probably less than less than a minimum wage in the US. But it was something. I mean, it was fine because I needed to do that for another reason anyway. So it was just a nice little supplement. I know someone who made, a couple $100 doing that. You can tutor. Yeah, so those are just some random things. On the island, you're really not going to find a job that's going to pay enough for it to make sense because the cost that they pay in labor there is pretty low, relative to your loan. So it really just doesn't make any sense to work. I'm going to tell you the truth. I work in Grenada. If you have something online where you can still be working in the US for some reason, then that would be pretty smart. Okay, so those are just some other things. This is what anybody can do. That's like extra stuff. This is what anybody can do. And I think this is your biggest saver when it comes to living on the island. Okay, so for living, I know that, you got to live on campus for the first year. I didn't have this situation again because I was online, but please have a roommate, cram yourself in, try to find the cheapest housing situation possible. I know there's some nice places on the island that are like resort style, and you're gonna be paying like $2,000 for a room. Fuck that. You're gonna share a room with 2 or 3 other students. Whatever the situation is where you guys can save more for housing, do it. I'm telling you, it's worth it because it sucks. You can't really study in your room because you got all these other roommates, right? Or whatever. You can't really study in the apartment. But there's so many study places that are so much better for your focus anyway that you're barely gonna be there. All you're going to your room for is just cooking and sleeping. That's it. Okay, that's it. That's all you're doing. Eating and sleeping. That's it. All the studying done outside, and it's beautiful there. There's some beaches that you can study on. Come on, don't do that. Okay, so there's that situation. Okay, so if you're past that year mark, I can't remember how many years they keep you guys, or how many terms. Definitely, you can find really great housing, relatively cheap. I was cheap. I'm gonna tell you, I paid about $600 for my studio. Granted, it wasn't that far. I could walk. I walked to school every day, but it was like a half mile. I would say maybe a half mile to get to school, maybe a little farther. I was on the bus route, so if I wanted to take the bus, I could, but I liked walking. It was fine. There was a shortcut that I took. It was kind of near the airport. Actually, if you guys know where the bowling alley, that's kind of close to where I lived as you're going out to the airport. It was a nice area. I lived with all locals. There was no students that lived on my street, but I loved it. There was a little tiny store one of my neighbors across the street had. He was a fisherman, and he had fresh lobster. He had fresh whatever he caught. It was beautiful. He had it in a cooler. It was cheap. He had like little local goods. He had his own eggs there. His homemade eggs. He had a little farm. He had like celery and stuff. I used to buy all his vegetables. They were good and they were so cheap, and it was so good. And I love my neighbors. They were like funny. One guy would always come out and harass me every day when I was waiting the bus. We would just talk back and forth. I would mess with him. Really nice guy. I love my neighbors. They were all really friendly. I had no issues. My landlord lived on the next building over. They would sometimes drop a papaya on my front door. It was great. I loved it. I love my neighbors. So don't feel like you need to live with other students. Now, granted, I do want to clarify, and maybe I'm oblivious to this. I'm a guy, so I didn't have any fear living out by myself. I don't know, your situation. I don't know. It might be different if I was, a single woman living on my own back there. I don't know what that would be like. I know women that did it and had no issues, but that's something to think about. Okay. So yeah, living, you can find some really cheap places. Make sure to get air conditioning. 600 was the cheapest I could find with air conditioning, close to the school and walking distance. As you get farther away, you can find places for 400, full houses, but they're not on the bus route. So you'd have to get a car, and cars are like 200 and something a month. So then, the cost difference, and plus gas and all the other stuff. So that gets into the next thing, cars and transportation. If you're gonna get a car, rent one with a bunch of other people so you guys can all share it. Don't do it by yourself. It's just too expensive. Gas is extremely expensive. I think it was like something crazy, like $8 a gallon or $7 a gallon. And the car rentals were like $200 to $300 a month, and they were crummy cars that would break down all the time if you're going cheap. So just take the bus. It's free for students, and it's great, and it's air conditioned. Don't do scooters. They're like $200. You're gonna seriously hurt yourself if you take those. Don't save money doing that. There's my rant on the transportation. Just suck it up. Either walk, take the bus, or find someone else who else has a car and like paying. If you guys are all paying $50 or something a month, then it would maybe make sense. Okay. Make your own food. Make your own goddamn food. I know that there's so many of you that are so lazy and also kind of on the chubby side, okay? Because everybody likes to eat out. And I gotta say, when I eat out, I get chubby too. So if you wanna put on muscle and you wanna lose weight and get healthier and also save money, you have to cook for yourself, okay? I know it's tough when you're really busy. I know, because toward the end, I started eating lunch almost every day on campus because there's some guy that's really good. But you have to try to do as many meals as you can at home. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you what I did. I brought a couple bags of protein powder to the island, and then for breakfast, I would do protein powder, peanuts, because it was a cheap, nut on the island, and oatmeal. So cheap. Okay. That was my breakfast. And then, on the weekends, I'd have like eggs, local eggs. They were delicious. Maybe a little bit of fish, maybe a piece of toast from a local bakery. The local bakery was so good. Just eat local. And then, occasionally, I'm not saying never eat out. Definitely. I loved sushi. I loved going out to those nice restaurants. Sushi was like my favorite. And that's, it's expensive. But I think you can save a lot of money just cooking at home and buying food from Grenada, okay? Try to buy things from there, from the local area. It's phenomenally cheaper. If it's local beef, local chicken, whatever, local eggs, they're phenomenally cheaper than if you try to buy like something like broccoli or something they have to ship over. They really mark that stuff up. Specialty cereals. I mean, you can do it. It's just a lot more expensive because they're living on an island. It's isolated. There's all these taxes to get stuff there, and they're just going to mark it up like crazy. So, but the local food, man, all the local fruit was amazing and so cheap. Now, some of it's got names that I've, never heard before, like, chirimoya or something, rock fig, that was one. The little tiny bananas, they're delicious. Just eat local. Trust me, you'll be happier with it too. Cheaper, healthier, you'll get ripped. It's great. All right. And with IGA, I just want to tell you guys, when you shop there, I think they have a delivery service still. It's like either free or super cheap. Take advantage of that. Just spend that little extra money so that you don't even have to waste any time going to the store, okay? Just get a personal shopper, they'll deliver. The delivery time is hit or miss, not gonna lie, but that's a nice thing you can do. Okay, now, this is one little detail that I did because I had Charles Schwab for my investing, because I still have a few investments. I did their debit card, and I have no withdrawal fees when it comes to ATMs, right? So I think the average ATM is like $2.50 charge. And in Grenada, you're going to use a lot of cash. You're going to use a lot of the EC, the Caribbean currency. Most vendors will take cash. They usually don't take card. So it's good to have that, especially when you're off campus, mostly just cash. So you have to go to the ATM a lot, and there's an ATM on campus, but how you gonna, you're gonna get charged every time. Oh, well, if you don't mind that $2.50, then whatever. All right, guys, that's kind of my rant on how to save some money. I know that it can be some big expenses. And just be smart. Do a budget. Make your own food. Go shopping. Eat the food that you cook too. Don't just buy it and then just go eat out. Live somewhere cheap when you have the chance. There's a lot of great places that are in good distance. Get a roommate. You can get a nice house, real pretty house, maybe one with a freaking pool, for not much. Okay, I'm serious. Take the bus, seriously. And luckily, if you're a big shopaholic, there's not great shopping on the island. It's really expensive, and the quality's not great because it costs a lot for them to ship stuff over there. So that's my rant, guys. All right, guys. Hope that was informative. Kick some butt.